care at risk.
To begin today's show, I'll be joined by my American Medicine Today radio co-host, Ethan Euchre.
Thanks, Kimberly. Today we'll visit the Believing Recovery Center in Tampa, Florida, whose founder, Ricardo Costa, was left a paraplegic after a motocross accident in 2010. He never gave up hope that he'd be able to recover some of his mobility and improve his physical condition. This led to his discovery of Accreditando, or Believing, one of the largest private neuromotor recovery centers in South America. Their methodology utilizes neuroplasticity, which helps nerve cells remap their connections.
Ricardo was so impressed with the Believing program that he brought the concept here to America.
We're here at the Believing Recovery Center in Tampa, Florida, an activity-based therapy center that helps those suffering from spinal cord injuries, stroke, and other neurological diseases. And joining us is Ricardo Costa, the founder of Believing Recovery. You have an amazing story. Why don't you start by telling our viewers?
Yes, in 2010, I had a motocross accident and I broke my T5, T6 and my vertebra. And I had a spinal cord injury. Then after 2 months in rehabilitation in the hospital, I tried to find some place for recovery something. And I started in a place called Accreditando in São Paulo, Brazil. It's a huge facility that had more than, today have more like 32,000 hours just for spinal cord injury. And I started the program there, and the program there was based activity-based therapy. And in 2013, I decided with my family to know more places and to try to test more different equipments that don't have in Brazil. And I saw that Tampa, they don't have no facility that provide this kind of therapy. I create the Believing Recovery Center and I bring this concept to here, activity-based therapy, to help people that have spinal cord injury, stroke, or any kind of neuromotor disorders.
And I noticed that there's a lot of different machines and apparatus around here. You call it activity-based therapy. What exactly does that mean?
We don't use any chair for nothing. All exercises is on the equipment, is the safe position. You put the clients here in the standing position, kneeling position, and try to recover as much as we can, some movement, some contractions, some sensations when people has paralyzed.
But partially using their own body weight.
We work with all the body, but we try to focus more on the paralyzed part of the body to try to reconnect something.
What has some of your own success been using this activity-based therapy from the time you had the motocross accident to the present day?
Today I have more better quality of life. I have more balance. I have some contractions. I can feel more my legs. I can see more some kind of movement.
Right now we are fitting Ricardo with his electrical stimulation pads.
Okay.
And that is going to hook up to the FES, which is functional electrical stimulation, and it's going to get his muscles working to pedal this bike right here.
So now, would this process be something he could normally do?
He normally would not be able to make the muscle contractions enough to pull this bike without the electrical stimulation running through his muscles.
Okay.
And these wires right here will connect and will allow the current to go from here to his muscles. So instead of his brain sending the currents from his brain to his muscle, this is the brain sending the currents.
But it's him actually doing the motion, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The computer will actually tell us how much he is using and how much the
machine
is helping him. Correct.
So Joe, do you have any particular patients that you've worked with that you've been impressed with their success?
One that actually stands out in my mind, he came here, he hadn't done much exercise for around 14 years. He was here for maybe 10 sessions or so, and he actually reached one of his goals, and that goal was to stand up out of his wheelchair, and he actually took some steps. He can walk by himself, but he progressed great. He fixed his posture, all in a matter of 8 to 10 sessions, and that was his goal when he got here.
Okay, and do you do kind of like circuit training where you try to hit each one of the different apparatus that you have here, or do you focus on one thing?
We do. We focus on one thing. They'll come here the first hour normally it's kind of similar to stretching. It's called neuroactivation. Try and get the limbs working, try and make the connection from the brain to the muscle we're working on try and fix their spasms and start working with their spasms so we can work at that. The second hour is going to be trying to control those spasms and let them try and make that connection.
Well, Joe, why don't you tell us what type of patients come into Believing Recovery?
We actually have a wide range of patients. We work with spinal cord injuries such as Ricardo. We also have been working with stroke and recently cerebral palsy as well.
Tell us some of the benchmarks that these particular clients are trying to reach in their recovery.
Typically, the main answer we get from everyone is, I want to walk again, obviously. But then we break it down and we ask you a better obtainable goal, something that we think you can reach. And then we work with them. We set out goals as well to coincide with their goals that they have. And we try and make a prescription that sets both those goals. Here we have Robin on her light gait treadmill, and she's working on her gait cycle, trying to get her proper steps right in front of the other one. And this eliminates some of her weight, so it's not totally 100% weight bearing. She's one of our better clients that can almost have 100% weight. This is just to stabilize her and make her feel more comfortable on here.
All right, so what we got here is easy stand. So if somebody can't stand on their own, this is probably the easiest way to get them into vertical position, to a load-bearing position. One thing to watch out for too here is the blood pressure. Someone who's been standing or sitting down for years and years in the wheelchair is going to have some blood pressure issues. Their blood isn't used to being pumped throughout their whole body. Next, we're going to do some standing work in the Smith machine. Okay. So I'm just getting him hooked up, make sure his ankles are blocked out so he doesn't lose stability there. Sure. You ready? I'm going to help his hips out. Ready? 1, 2, and up. Good. So you can see a lot of spasm there. Just anytime there's a change of position, that will happen. Okay. So it's one joint at a time. That's the connection between the torso and your legs. So if you can learn the hips, next step will be learn the knees, and then eventually, if you can, the ankles. So it's every joint is going to control the bones above and below it. So by learning to lock those hips out, it's one step closer to either standing or walking or whatever their goals are.
Well, this is the staff at Believing Recovery Center here in Tampa, where they allow their clients to have